Today we're going to show you how to change the evaporator fan blade on your refrigerator. It's a really easy job. All you need is a 1/4" nut driver, a 1/4" ratchet and 1/4" socket, and a small flat blade screwdriver. Let me show you how we do it. Now, because this repair requires working near electrical circuits, we will have to disconnect the power to the refrigerator, so simply pull the plug on it. We'll next start with opening the freezer door and removing any items on the top shelf, in the ice bin, or on any of these two shelves. We'll then remove that shelf, unsnap it from the right hand side, pull it to the right, and remove it. We'll lift up on the ice bin and pull it forward and remove it. We'll also remove the top shelf, just lift up on it, slide it out. Now next we'll want to remove the cover below the auger motor. Just press down on it, unhook the tabs, tilt it forward, and then remove the two tabs on the bottom that slide into the slots on top of the evaporator fan cover. We'll next remove the 3 screws that hold that auger motor assembly in place. Next, we'll just lift up slightly on that auger motor, and be careful, it is fairly heavy, and pull it out far enough to disconnect the wire harness that goes up to the ice maker. You may need a flat blade screwdriver to disengage the locking tabs. Just pull them out to the side. And pop that plug off. Now if you lower that motor down enough, you'll have access to the wire harness at the back, and again it has locking tabs on it, so squeeze those together, disconnect it. Pull that assembly out and we can set that aside. Next we'll take the light cover off, just pull out on the bottom of it and then gently push upwards. And disengage it from the hooks on the top. That'll expose 2 1/4" hex head screws that hold the evaporator fan motor cover in place. There's also 2 more keyhole slots up at the top, so we need to loosen those 2 top ones and remove the 2 bottom ones. Now the top one on the left hand side is a little harder to access, so you may need to use the 1/4" ratchet with a 1/4" socket on it. Just reach up in there and loosen it a few turns. Now we'll lift out on the bottom of the cover and push in and up, disengage it from those upper screws. And we can slide that right out of the compartment, set that aside. Okay. Next we're going to remove 2 screws on the bottom that go through the evaporator cover, and then we'll loosen 2 more screws that are on the top of the evaporator fan motor assembly. You can disconnect the harness to the motor assembly. Just depress the locking tabs and pull the harness straight back. Now we can lift that whole assembly out. And now we can do the repair. Now that we have the fan assembly on a suitable work surface, we can remove the fan blade. But before we do, we'll want to take note on how far the blade sits on the evaporator fan motor shaft. Just do a visual check. And then while supporting the motor, we'll grasp the blade and just pull it straight off. It's held in place with a little spring clip that secures it to the shaft. So we'll take our new one, and again, while supporting the evaporator fan motor, we'll depress that onto the shaft and push it in as far as the old one was, which should center it up with the edge of the housing. And now we're ready to reinstall the housing in the refrigerator. Now we're ready to put the assembly back in place. We want to make sure that we engage those two slotted holes in behind the evaporator cover. Slide the whole assembly straight in, tilt it down into place, engage the two keyhole slots at the back over the 2/4 inch screws, slide it down into place, and remember to reconnect the wire harness and make sure both locking tabs are engaged. Just give it a little tug to make sure. Reinstall the 2 screws on the bottom. Tighten the 2 on the top. Next we'll install the fan cover. Slide that straight in underneath the brackets for the auger motor. And then make sure it pulls forward enough that we clear the 2 screws at the very top. We've engaged those 2 screws through the keyhole slots and slide it down into place. We'll install the 2 bottom screws. And we'll tighten the 2 top screws. Now we're ready to reinstall the auger motor assembly. We'll start by connecting the wire harness to the rear. Make sure the locking tabs on the harness connector engage solidly. And we'll connect the harness to the top of the assembly. And we'll lift the whole assembly into place. Now ready to secure it with the 3/4 inch screws. And now install the deflector on the bottom. We'll engage these 2 tabs on the second slot up on the evaporator fan cover. And then just tilt the deflector back into place. We'll next install the upper shelf. Engage it in the top track. Next we'll install the ice bin. Make sure it's engaged fully. We'll replace any shelves that we removed. Now we're ready to reconnect power to the refrigerator, and our repair is complete.